Welcome to Becoming a Cook. I'm Charlie Wetzel. Today I want to talk to you about celery. There are three ways that you can cut that commonly for different recipes that you do, and I'm going to show you all three ways. I've got some outer celery stalks here. I've just washed these, and now I'm going to prep them. There's usually a little bit of grit in here and dirt. Take that off. You want to just take off that edge where the stem was. Take off this end. These outer leaves, tough leaves, are usually not very good. Now that you've got this, if you want to do celery sticks, this is pretty straightforward. You just cut it to length and then julienne it. So if you wanted to do celery sticks with, say, something like buffalo wings, you could use those. This is also the starting point for you to chop celery. So I'm just going to do this one as though I were doing them for like a relish tray. So there's my celery sticks. Use the same kind of method when you're doing diced celery. The general principle with anything long is you want to cut it into julienne, which is strips first and then across. So with this part, because it's got so much curve, I'll generally cut that in half lengthwise because it makes it a little bit easier to do these pieces. And I'm not too worried about the fact that some of these are short and some are long. The main concern I have is I want them to be about the same width because that gives uniformity to my chop. You'll notice on these I cut the celery in half lengthwise because that's a pretty easy size to work with. With these, you don't want celery sticks this long with your buffalo wings. So this is a pretty good size, about a third. But obviously you just judge based on the size of your celery. Once I've got these in julienne strips like this, then all I'm doing is back to my knife technique that I've taught in other videos where you're keeping these knuckles curved and you're keeping your pinky and your thumb behind these other fingers to keep them safe. And I'll just use this knuckle here as my guide as I get closer. And as always, if you're just learning how to cook, you're new to knife skills, don't worry about speed. Take as much time as you need. I was going to say it's not a race, everything's a race, but you don't need to be fast in this sort of thing. We've got our sticks, we've got diced celery, and I'm going to show you one other way that's pretty common. Now you'll notice sometimes on a piece of celery you'll have a blemish like this. I don't like anything like that in my finished, so I'm just kind of shaving that off with the knife. So the last way that I'll cut a piece of celery is on the bias in pieces. So if you look, this gives you a nice shape. It's like a little crescent shape. This is good for something like a stir fry, where you want pieces of celery, and where diced celery really wouldn't look good, and celery sticks wouldn't look good, you want something that's got a little more elegance to it. When you get down to this far end, they get a little bit more asymmetrical. I'll show you that in a second. So my pieces that came on the far end are like this, but when I got down to this other end, look at that. But they're the same thickness, which means they'll cook about the same. The next time you have to cut up some celery, whether you want sticks, or you want something for a stir fry, slices, or you want diced celery, that's the way to do it.